film To Serve With Love was based on a book, and the
by E.R. Braithwaite.
By E.R. Braithwaite, and I think they changed his name to Thackery because Braithwaite is even worse to pronounce. But I'm not sure why they changed his name, because he has his own name in the book, I believe. The interesting thing about the book is that the series of events of how the entire thing happened, it's all set 20 years earlier than the movie, because what happened was that Braithwaite was I'm not sure if he was studying somewhere, but he got into the war. They trained him into the war to be an engineer, and then in 47 the war was over, and he was standing in 47 he was standing in England going, now what? There were no jobs to be had because all the returning servicemen were getting jobs, and they were very much whiter than he was.
And he did engineering in the services?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I'm not quite sure what, but enough to get some degrees of some sort. And so he was out of luck for his literally his skin color, and so the only place that would hire him was a school who was short of teachers anyway, because the teachers hadn't been off to the war and hadn't come back, and there was no influx of new teachers.
And these soldiers wouldn't come back, especially becoming teachers.
No. So I think that's why he ends up in that school. And the other thing it shows is that the attitude of these kids in 47, there was a lot of neglect, not by the parents, but just society. They were busy doing war stuff, and they didn't have time to do
raise the kids.
Raise the kids stuff, yes. Yeah. And so you get a lot of kids who are in that way neglected, and these kids are like that neglected.
Yes, because we see them that they have varying reading levels. But what we don't see is like there's clearly people with learning disabilities.
Or behavioral issues.
Very comparatively little.
Yes.
And so it is more of like it's a really backwards area that these kids are living in. The kids actually have to get on the bus to go to the school. So it's not like this is their neighborhood secondary school.
No, I do think that these kids are coming from all over Greater London area, because it's the Last Chance Saloon. But the interesting thing is, and I have to look it up again, but in 47 definitely, but in 67, the mandatory schooling in 47 was absolutely not till 18. It probably ended at 12. So these kids were there voluntarily in this school that is going to give them their last chance. So that's why you have another type of kids.
You can see several times that we actually see the parents, like the woman who has the market stall, the other woman that comes to the school that possibly is a prostitute, and they are actually like they are very invested in their kids finishing school. So even though they have nothing to give the kids to help them with school, they are sending them there.
Yeah, and these kids are not playing hockey. They come to school always.
Because those aren't here.
Yeah. I think the problem kids that would have been the dropouts are not there in the first place.
Yeah, they've already dropped out.
Yes.
These kids are 17, 18 years old. This is the point of he saying, no, we're not going to finish your education here. We're going to prepare you for the real world because you are young men and women now.
Yeah.
And that there's never, I don't think, in England the requirement to stay in school after the age of 16.
Now, yes.
So even and then, so there wouldn't have been any requirement for them to be there, and they're all 17, 18-year-olds.
Yeah, and that may be because the actors are that much older, and so they couldn't play. I think they may have been 16. But I don't know.
We don't know, but the film certainly puts them at 18,
yes.
And the second movie does as well.
Yes. Yeah. But that's the second movie is a very different situation, and but here I think these kids are even in 67 they are here very voluntarily to get some sort of education start, because even though they are seemingly unwilling to accept the education.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be teaching history, and he does that every once in a while. But he actually,
Social studies
yeah,
is what
he
he
actually
teaches.
turns it over into what you need right now. And one of the strengths of this storytelling to me is that what he does is, you're not here to finish an arbitrary curriculum anymore. That ship has sailed. It has passed. People have failed you. We are very sorry. What we can do for you now is, what do you need when you go out there and you need to apply for a job and you need to look decent and you need to have a, you need to be able to speak with 2 words to the people that are going to employ you.
Do basic calculus, because he did do. He ended up doing some calculus as well for basic cooking. I taught him how to feed yourself on a little
why.
bit.
Yeah, he says why. He says you're going to be out on your own. If you don't want to have to run back to your mother or pay for it, then you buy the ingredients and you cook your rudimentary things at home. Yes. And for 47, that's radical, especially for the guys. For 67, I think it's spot on. Yeah. Because the young men were also going like, well, if I can't cook for myself, I am dependent. So here we go. Yeah. And that's how you actually get out of this massive duality of the male and female separation of their lives. The film is very entrenched in it, because you've got the young women, they're clean, they specifically say this, they have potty mouths, and that's they do some things that are apparently too filthy for the movie to mention. But
about that, it's in the book, and if you read the wiki of the book, it will mention what it was. I knew what it was, but yeah,
I assumed what it was.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's why he was so effing mad about it. Yeah, but that's the 1947 event. It happened.
And what the girls are doing is they're testing out
boundaries.
They think it's a laugh. They know they're going to get an effect. They don't know how badly the effect will actually come back to haunt them. And he is putting a line right there. Yeah. And he's saying, you have to be young ladies.
The thing is that, and he does say it nominally in the movie, is that these kids at home are dealing with parents who don't know how to human, much less parent, and they're shouting and they're punishing where they shouldn't.
Like the one girl that her parents are not there.
But the parents that are there are going to bring out a belt to wallop you. And basically that is why they are testing out how far they can push Sir before he breaks, because they know what an adult who breaks looks like. They know how to deal with it. They don't know how to deal with an adult who doesn't break. And that's why he's wearing them down in the end, because even the outburst wasn't a big break for in their terms at all. Shouting is very normal. It's everyday occurrence. So,
but for him it was crossing a line, because he had told himself, I am not going to do that.
But
when he got to that point, that's where he decides, now we're not going to be educating them in the curriculum. We're going to educate them in life.
Yeah. But in the end, they never, ever, ever push him into actually hitting them, which is what they were trying to get him to do, because that they understand.
The school also says from the get-go, we don't do corporal punishment. Isn't that funny? Yeah, okay. But it wasn't until like the late 80s that corporal punishment was made illegal in schools.
In England,
In England, in the UK. So that's actually quite radical for that school, and there must have been somebody at the top there making those decisions. They probably also knew that these kids get hit enough. Yeah. So what's the point?
What's the point? It doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. So stop doing it. And that's I think that is very good and progressive of them.
Yeah. And at the same time, there's not really a clear concept of where this progressiveness comes from. Because you've got a couple of female teachers who clearly have absolutely nothing to say about anything and are just nice and of course make love interests for him. And then there's this male teacher, 2 male teachers. One is the guy that does racial slurs from first to last with him, and Thackery ignores it completely.
Yes.
But it is very clear. And then you've got the other one, who is the PE teacher, who just shows up for only the scene of the PE teacher. And he is a bully.
Yeah.
So
You're
it's
getting...
not clear where the...
So I think the impetus of the school comes from this post-war or possibly pre-war idea of nature versus nurture, that you can even a bad apple, you can just nurture them out of that. So I think that's a progressive schooling. Then in 47, after the war, you have an influx of new people, and I think this school does attract some of the worst, like the male teacher with the slurs and the PE teacher. But the girls who are actually new to the workplace, not the older lady. The older lady is she's the most interesting of the bunch, actually. She must have an interesting backstory, because otherwise she wouldn't be there. But the young ladies still in 47 are just working until they get married.
Yeah, just and the young teacher, she's clearly flirting with him, and she would like something, and you don't see whether or not that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, and that is one of the few things I didn't like about this movie. You see, the book, he does take up with the young, very white teacher, and it causes problems, because she takes him to meet her parents, and they are not happy. Yeah. So and they left it out, and
no, they took it out.
They took it out, yeah.
Yeah, because her character is still written to be in love with him and say yes to anything he suggests, and she does, and she helps him out, and he is flatlining on that. I think that's very sad. That's a sign of the times. Maybe they really wanted to, if his love interest to be in there, that it has to be a black love interest, and I just don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Other than that detail, I think the other detail that one can nitpick, and that they actually already nitpicked it in the book. The critics of the book said, and that those are educators, they said, the way he solves all the problems is a little too easy, a little too fast. But like I said, I think they have the wrong idea of who these kids are.
Yeah.
These are not problem kids.
They're not problem
They're
kids,
just disenfranchised kids because of situation, not of what anything that it has to do with them.
Yeah.
So I think, but I do agree, he's getting a little too fast to the good bits, but I think that is the only criticism I have of this film. I think this is one of the best films ever. And every time I watch it, it is a ride, and I enjoy it. And Sidney Poitier is so scrumptious. But all the kids, who are not kids at all, the kids are also so scrumptious and wonderful. And that older lady who is working at the school is Patricia Rutledge. And we know her as Mrs. Buckets in Keeping Up Appearances.
Oh.
She is also wonderful. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
This is a good movie.
Yeah, I think those educators are correct. It looks too easy, but it is because these children are there to learn. They're there like
they are there voluntarily and not mandatory.
They're out the limits. They know that it's just going to be this one more year, and that's it. They're out of here. They all have a plan of what they're going to be doing, and
if they can get the certificate, it probably does come with a certificate at the end.
Well, yeah.
I don't think they have a final exam, but they may have a final certificate sometimes. So maybe that's worth for them to get. And in England, if you get your certificate for this, that, and the other, you can also get your qualification from the government for money's something. There may be an extra reason for it, and I don't know what it is, but there may have been. In 47, probably not, but in 67, maybe. So that's a thing.
What he sets his mind to is to start finding everybody options for work. Either a skill or an actual in. and finding, and in the second film as well, I felt like this is actually what you should be doing in that last year, given their situation, is nothing out there, nothing like a set of pieces of knowledge or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what can we do between September and June, or whenever the school year ends, is to get these kids from kid status to
Functioning adult.
you're going to go to work now.
Yeah.
So he finds ideas, like the one guy, the guy that could do good boxing.
Yes, yeah,
And,
the one.
there's a scene there to discuss as well. But that guy, he's like, what if you were to teach that?
Yeah.
And he plants ideas. And I think it's extremely important for children and young adults to hear things that they've never heard before. What if you tried this? What, maybe you could go do that. It's like they're living in a world where no options. The girls are preparing to get married, and they haven't even, most of them haven't even got the guy yet. But they're in their heads, they're preparing to get married and motherhood.
Yeah.
And the guys are going to be having a wheelbarrow. And they're preparing
They're going
to
to be
do whatever menial jobs.
They're going to be selling. No. The wheelbarrow means
Now,
that
was a good one. He said that was a top.
Yeah, because
top
he's
job.
going to be his own boss, selling fruit on a stall. Because the wheelbarrow is a stall.
Yeah.
Like the lady that was one of the parents, and she was married to the guy who had the stall.
And he specifically said that he was in a privileged position because he knew that was ready for him.
The thing that I noticed about the first movie, the 67 one, it's not about the other one, but the 67 one, is that yes, the guys are geared a little bit towards that actual future, but he leaves the girls as such alone. In 67, they're gonna get married. And that's also what they need to do. And I think that's one of the reasons what he also gave that cooking class. Because it's not just for the guys, it's also for the girls, just to give them an idea, because he just puts some ingredients on the table and mixed them up in interesting ways.
He made like an Latin American or African
doesn't,
salad. He made something completely different.
Yeah,
so again, he's showing them you can do something else.
You can do something else, but you can also experiment with what you have. If you have not much, because these people are not going to be having much. That's not the future in 67 or in 47 is not the future. Doesn't look like you're going to have oodles of stuff. So you have to make do with what you got, but you can experiment. You don't always have to have beans on toast. You can do something else with your beans.
And they probably didn't know this in 47, but it is actually essential that you have a varied diet.
They had some idea of having a veg and a meat, and at least have veg with your food.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were pretty. So there's a lot of misconceptions about the poor people in England with the English themselves, like they're dirty and they eat bad and they live in slums, and kind of that was not so. Those people who had wheelbarrows, they were proud of their wheelbarrow. They were proud of their house. They kept it clean, and if they could serve a full meal, they would serve a full meal. They would also get the veg in and meat if you can. Lots of potatoes, I'm sure. But yes, they did know. But you have to also get more ahead than that. And I think that's what the school is meant to do, is get more than just that. Yeah. And then when he comes in and realizes they don't even have the basics, he starts with the basics, the adult basics, not the kid basics.
Which is... How do you keep
how do you feed yourself? How do you calculate a basic budget? What do you know about the world in general form? Have you ever been outside anywhere but outside of your own street? That sort of thing. It's adult stuff.
Yeah.
Which they should have done. Some of the stuff should have been done with a kindergarten class, but they didn't. Like going to the museum, there should have been a kindergarten class.
Effectively, the film is saying society has failed these kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's a done deed. We cannot make up for that, because you can't put them back into kindergarten through the 17-year-old. So here we are. What can we do now?
Yeah.
And he does that quite well. And in both films, he puts an emphasis on finding them work, finding them how to find work.
Yeah. And if we can go to the second movie.
Well, one thing about the first movie is the moments that racism is addressed. And I felt it was done really well because he asks questions of the children. And he says, okay, why can't you go to this guy's house and bring the flowers? And then the entire class...
a wreath as well. It was not just any old flowers.
No, it was because his mother died.
Exactly.
And
so it was important wreath, but important bits of flowers.
And he lets the kids explain to him why the girls can't go. Okay, why can't the guys go? And then it's like, that's pretty much stonewalled. And then he just lets them sit with it.
And think about it. And then make up their own mind. That's really good.
He doesn't say to them, you're crazy, you're wrong. He's saying, okay, tell me what your experience is. What would happen if you did this?
And in order for the entire class to hear their own words back at them.
And that was the brilliance of that scene, I think.
Yes.
And then in the end, of course, they will have... And I like that with this class of kids, because he does something, he says something, or something happens in class, and then you see them develop.
Percolate it through, yes. Yeah, and it takes, for some it takes faster than others. And I think for Pamela, the infatuation, because she falls in love with the only male person who makes any sense in the world. But he's the wrong one. He's dreamy. But he's completely wrong for her.
Of course. And she doesn't even dispute that.
No. And I do like the way
she's not deluded or anything.
I like the way he lets the thing percolate through her head, and she decides not to proposition him at the moment that she could have, when he would have had to turn her down. He definitely would have turned her down. But she got wise enough not to make the suggestion.
Yeah. And then what she does get is it shows how she grows. That she says, but can I have a dance? Yeah. And they do have a dance.
Yes.
A very dorky dance.
Gentlemen dancers are dorkies.
No, well, that was just a very dorky dance.
It was a very dorky dance.
But it was lovely that they did that.
Yeah.
And then you've got the school teacher that's in love with him, and
that doesn't go anywhere.
We find out in the second movie what.
Literally about the second movie, I hate it. I mean, I loved it, but they gave him this second storyline in which there's also there's two parts of his storyline. First, there is a suggestion of because it's now 30 years later that there was a wife in England, and she was black.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that was one, that she could have been white. I don't understand why she could have been white. Yeah. And then the storyline that is there, for which we see the lady, she's also black.
And that's fine, because she is also from British Guiana.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So that one I have no issues with.
But the first one I have issues.
She was the reason he actually went there. So that storyline fits. But there was no benefit to his first wife having been black at all. The more logical thing was that he would have had that relationship with that teacher, because they had a good rapport. And unless he was totally... Like, there's something about her that he hated. That was going on like a house on fire. I mean, but he was already ignoring. Maybe they said, well, because he was ignoring her advances in that first movie, we can't really have that as a relationship.
Yeah,
I think that's a shame, because it was handed on a platter.
Yeah, the thing about the second movie is that it has nothing to do with Braithwaite, the original writer, at all. And I think it's a fanfic. This is straight up a fanfic. We just want more of the same. And we have a Sidney Poitier available, because otherwise this wouldn't have worked at all. You have Sidney Poitier, you have the couple of the English original kids now grown up, and Lulu, and I mean, you can ask them and they'll show up, because the Brits
Pamela and Lulu were in it.
They always show up,
but they're not part of the story. They're just part of the good guy.
No. And I think that's probably not written like that. It was written for Sidney Poitier, but it's in every single way a fanfic, because it's just more of the same.
Yeah.
but reimagined to certain permutations to the parameters, which is older Sidney Poitier and now
In
and
Chicago,
States.
yeah. So what I believe happened was in 1995, Dangerous Minds came out.
Ah, yes.
And that is pretty much To Sir with Love on steroids. And they probably looked at them going, well, didn't we have To Sir with Love? And gosh golly, Mr. Poitier is still with us and willing. So let's do it again. Because this is a television movie.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happened. Is they probably said, well, if they can do that, we can do that as well. And we can do it the To Sir with Love style. And I think that's great because you can't have enough of these films. These films, the concept is so strong. You take a group of kids that everybody's given up on,
but are still willing themselves to actually do something.
And that is in the second film, is they are getting on the bus every morning.
Yeah.
Again, this time from the ghetto. They're doing that. He's making a point like, your other people there are not getting on the bus in the morning. Why are you getting on the bus? You're getting,
there was even one of the characters who was there with his brother in the same class, and after a while Thackeray asked, hey, there are two brothers in the same class and they're not twins.
No.
And it turns out the other brother is a full 2 years older and he's still staying in school. I think, and in this case, I think it's actually to get that little piece of paper, because I think there is, in America, there is a piece of paper at the end of high school, which is, I suppose, valuable. I don't know how valuable, but I think he was there also to protect his brother, but also to get that piece of paper, to make it to the end line for that.
Yeah, and
a chance.
A chance. And say you have your high school diploma. Now you can go. Maybe you can go away from home. Maybe you can get away from the
city.
From the gangs, because this film. The second film is markedly different from the first one. The first one is a very poor, impoverished area.
Yeah. Not much crime.
Ghetto kids.
In the first one there's pretty much no crime.
No.
They're not even stealing anything.
No.
And in the second one they are in a ghetto and there is gun violence and there is gang violence.
Guns all over the place.
Oh
and
my
there's a really
God.
strong scene where he intercepts a gun. And then he brings it to the security of the school. Just the security of the school alone. I mean, that's a amount of.
With a metal detector, you have to go through a metal detector.
No, but they do that everywhere now in America.
Yeah, but that's so to a Dutch person, to an English person, it's alien.
Yeah, this is. For him, it was alien as well.
Yeah,
he
was going, what the hell?
Yeah, but now they have it everywhere in the US. It's a really different world. And he walks in and he says, I cannot say where I got this gun.
And
he gets
into trouble over it too.
Yeah, he was fired over it.
Yeah.
So his concept is, you don't stop helping these kids. You don't do what the kids want, because that's not helping the kids. You do what's good for the kids, and that is a question of take a lot of effort and a lot of brain power and a lot of looking at the individual. What does this person need?
Yeah.
And again, he's creating job opportunities for the kids. He's taking this one girl who has a writing talent and has interest, taking her to an apprenticeship.
And the very quiet guy who he just sees pottering around with some with flower pots in one morning when he passed by. And then he sees a flower stall and who needs people, so he just talks to the flower person. Hey, do you need this kid?
Yeah, and again, these kids are not. Yes, they would be much better off if they went to college. But they are not looking at going to college because they literally need to get out of the situation where they're in, and they need to get out there now. So making money is your way into the world, and
a good job in a flower shop is
and then
great.
You can work in any flower shop.
Yeah.
You can move cities once you've saved enough for the bus fare.
Yeah. and get enough practical experience in any retail shop or any other specific shop to become a manager of the shop, and then maybe owner of a chain or something like that.
Yeah, in America, of course, you always have to be an entrepreneur, and that is ideal. But the school has not prepared them for it.
No, and it hasn't prepared any of them. And
did you notice? Of course, you noticed that the guy from the school. I mean, of course you did. The guy from the school who got him in, who did a year out in the field in the UK,
and then starts to work against him all the time.
From the moment he gets there, he's like, no, you don't want these kids. No, you're going to do the honors program. And this school is actually an integrated school, whereas the school in the UK, in London, that was specifically for these types of kids. That's where they put the kids. In this school, he's in this huge school where these are the rejects.
From the other classes, yes.
Yeah, so there is an honors program. And I was like, no, you're going to be teaching history in the honors program. And he's like, no, I want to do this. And the guy is against it from the first to almost the last, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a point where he says, you are wrong. We're pulling you out of this. No, you can't do this. It's like, wow. And there's
does he even know who he is?
Yes. He spent a year in the
UK.
School in London, this tiny little school with like 5 teachers. And he has no clue what this is about.
By the time the American came there, I'm sure that school is way bigger, because I think Thackery really worked. If he stayed, he really would have worked it up.
Of course, schools change over time.
Yes.
But
so
still,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, that was like, yeah.
The guy doesn't know who he hired. That was dumb.
And then he does actually teach history, because he is teaching them about passive resistance and Gandhi and stuff. And I was like, fantastic. They're going to be using that.
It's also social history, and it's social history that is useful to them to combat violence. They have a lot of violence in their life, and they have to make a combat with that. And sometimes to combat violence is you have to not do violence, and that they had to learn.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have to learn that.
Yeah.
Because the gang violence that was going there, it was a question of, I have a gun and I will point it, and then you will point it, and then somebody will shoot, and it just gets worse and worse. Whereas if you don't point it, then the other may not point it, and it would be working much better. And they have to learn that. Mm-hmm. And it does take two, and it's very dangerous. So it is very dangerous.
The situation that these kids are living in is completely incomparable with the kids from the first film. Because they're in immediately life-threatening danger from the moment they get up to when they enter the school, and some inside the school because of gang behavior inside the school. Yeah. And then as soon as they get home as well. Also, the girl that is actually being used as a prostitute for one of the guys in the class. Yeah. And he's not punished for it, by the way.
Nope.
They really should have ended that storyline with that this young boy would
they
have been picked up by the police.
But they ended the storyline with her telling him to pass off.
Yeah.
Which I think is the end. I mean, this guy is going to get himself, either he's going to clean up, or he's going to get himself into trouble and get himself killed. Yeah. That is the next step. Yeah. At some point, it is his problem and her.
Because they couldn't solve his storyline at all.
And I think it's better than to solve hers, because the way to stop this cycle is to just say, no, I ain't doing it no more.
Yeah, okay, but he was going to kill her, and if they had been 2 years older, then he probably would have killed her for it. So it's very dangerous. She needs to get out now.
But she had her gang, the rest of the class behind her to help her out with that.
Yeah.
So you do that now, otherwise your gang is gone.
But it doesn't happen until the last school dance thing.
Because they're running out of time. There's going to be, at these last few days, lots of things going to happen, because people realize that if we don't do it now, we are out of time.
Yeah. And he did a wonderful school trip with the kids in the first film, which was life-changing for these kids. And he couldn't do that in the second film.
You did notice in the first film that they didn't actually do that. They just do the photo shoot around.
Yeah.
They didn't film, because you have to have permission to film somewhere. Whereas photos you can do.
It was the V&A. It was the Victorian Albert Museum. They don't allow camera lights in.
Well, there you go. So they did take pictures, and so they kind of faked it. I mean, it's beautifully done, but I actually liked the second scene, because it was very hands-on, and it it taught a very interesting lesson in how people perceive other people to these kids, and that's and what you say and how people perceive you. And I thought that was a good lesson. I would have liked to see a second one, because if you're not going to do something grand like the V&A, maybe a second one. But like I said, this is a fanfic, so I am a little bit less critical of it. It took the best, the ideas of the first one and tried to reimagine it with what they had.
Yeah.
I don't know what the budget for this thing is, because these outside
television movie budgets.
Yeah, but
one would assume.
Yeah, but that's still not neither here nor there, because outside shooting is much more expensive than inside shooting. So it may have been that they could only do the one thing.
Yeah.
And I'll take it then. I'll take it.
Yeah. About the budget. So the first film they made, and the director really wanted to make it, and the director was James Clavell. And he wanted Sidney Poitier.
Well, duh.
Because
duh.
He is the leading man.
But Sidney Poitier, of course you do.
Yeah, so. And then Sidney said, because they couldn't get any funding at all.
Yeah, British. Then there was in '67 there was a little bit of British movies, but not really a heyday going on. So I can see why they couldn't dig in that money.
And so both the director and Sidney Poitier did it for a part of the
proceeds.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Good.
And it was a tiny little English movie, right? It was the #1 movie of 1967. And Lulu's record went up the charts.
You do know that it's also the same year as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. It's the same year.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So he was in competition with himself.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
But the thing,
they made so much money with this film.
This movie is very charming.
Yeah.
It is one of those really charming ones. The ones you can
really
enjoy. You can just enjoy watching it. Yes, there is a lot of poverty going on, but still you enjoy watching it.
It's the type of poverty like Dickensian, like Scrooge, where you go, aww, and then yay, because it turns out well. In the second film, definitely, people could have been dead.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, somebody's parent was killed, but one of the kids in that class that year could have been killed.
Yes.
Considering all the horrible things that was going on.
Yes.
In the first film, less so. It's just more a social
but
question.
there is a death. There's the mother of one of the children dies.
Yeah. So the kids do have to deal with it. And in '67, a parent of a child will die in a school year like that.
Yeah.
That will happen.
We even had one.
I had one in my class. Yeah. But she was I think like the 9th kid, and she was the last kid of but so her father was much older, but dead is dead.
Yeah.
So it's
and it has to be dealt
trauma.
with, and it is part of. There's always something going to happen in every class every time. There are either sick classmates or parent of a classmate or. Big
an accident
or a big historical event happening or something. There's going to be in the time that you're in school, there in your high school period, 6 years of between 4 and 6 years.
4 in America.
Between 4 and 6 years, something significant that you're going to remember will happen.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with it, and you have to adult enough to deal with it.
I give to you that Thackery saved 95% of these kids.
Yes.
In both films. If he hadn't been there, the kids would have been seriously worse off.
Yeah. But like we said, they are there to be saved. They are not there against their will.
Yes.
They are ready. They are a little bit open, just a little bit open to
also,
being saved.
In the second film, not appreciably there were any kids with learning disabilities.
Or behavioral disability.
Not really, no. They were just kids who had been dealt a bad hand and were trying to survive. even more than the first film. And that's why I think the reaction was to Dangerous Minds, because in Dangerous Minds, and then you also have the film which I find a little bit comparable is Renaissance Man, which is a lot earlier. I think that's 1990.
1989, I think, but that's those kids are fully adults.
Yeah,
because they're in the army
they're
already.
like 1 or 2 years older.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they're 18 plus because they're in the army.
Yeah. But the situation is the
They
same.
there are some learning difficulties
there's
there.
1 or 2 with a learning disability.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them that are there because of circumstance. And then there's definitely...
But they're also still there because they want to be part of the army.
Yeah.
So they are there to...
they want to survive.
Okay, but they want to get the paycheck. They want they want to be doing this. They don't want to be going away. That's
they actively made a choice every single morning. I am doing this.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing about this. The guy in Renaissance Man and Thackery is that he realizes after a year of doing this, no, I'm making a choice that I'm going to be doing this because this. Yeah. This is so much more interesting.
For both of them, it's a transitory occupation, waiting for something better, and then until they realize, you know what, this is the something better. Yeah. And that's of course very much a Hollywood kind of thing. Also, it's a good storytelling metaphor to make the person do the trip and come to the conclusion on their own.
And he has worked hard. He explains to the kids in several scenes what his background is and what he had to do to actually get there. The things that he says about all the little jobs that he did while he was learning to read and write and go to university, those are jobs that Sidney Poitier did when he came to the US, and he had to bridge that whole thing from not having enough education to becoming an actor, and actually he did all these jobs. So it was straight from real life, and Braithwaite was a real guy. Yeah. So that was also straight from real life.
The book is straight from real life, so
and you
it's
can't
very
do any
real.
Better than that.
That makes it very real.
Yeah, it's super believable because it's right there. This is what happened with these people, and then you make a good storytelling, Yeah,
also you have to write a good script. That's always helpful. Yeah. And it's one of those, if you don't mess it up, it's going to work. I think that the first one definitely is one of the best movies ever. The second one is a nice addendum.
I liked it. It was very good.
But I think if you happen to run into it standalone and you didn't know what it was, it's still very good. But it's not nearly as good as the first one, and that's fine.
No,
That's fine.
I really liked it as like episode 2.
Yes, as episode 2.
It's very nice. And the only quibble I have is that, couldn't this first wife have been white?
Yeah,
that's just me with my Dutch brain. So.
Yeah, no, I was very miffed about that.
The second film is on YouTube.
Good.
As a TV movie, always look for TV movies. Look on YouTube if you look for TV movies.
And the first one is an absolute classic and should be on anything that has DVD rental, DVDs anywhere. Yeah. It should be everywhere.
Streaming platform.
Yes, it should.
Highly recommend it. Definitely go watch it.
Yeah, and that's my opinion.
And my opinion.
And we're sticking to it.